This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are joined by Dr. Hadass Hare. Excited to talk to her. She's the owner of Hypnotherapy at Patience, Passion, and Divine Order, based out of Bridgewater, Massachusetts, but she's helping people all over the world. Excited to have you here today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here and for joining us. And we're excited to get started and to talk a little bit about, the work that you do. There's a lot, and we're going to get to know you physically as well. But first and foremost, tell us just a little bit about the name of your business and what it actually means.
Well, this is actually a great story because I'm a therapist, a psychotherapist. I do trauma work, trauma recovery of all kinds with everything that this means basically. And one of the things I was always passionate about is adding more tools and more skills in hypnotherapy. And so one of the classes I took was a class in a year-long course in metaphysical hypnotherapy. And which means, actually, bear with me here, this is a little out of the box. Metaphysical hypnotherapy includes past life regressions and things such as that, because I know what comes to mind when we say hypnotherapy is
Mm-hmm.
immediately smoking cessation. And I do some of that, less so. I do things more extreme, such as maybe, for example, acute weight loss, working with
Uh-huh.
persistent blood poisoning, cancers that don't go away, more acute things. As I say often, if someone has a simple issue, they can go to anyone. I'm a first and foremost a real therapist, which also means, and we will get to that
Yeah.
later on,
Okay.
we talked about that, that people, when they see me, can use their health insurance, which is
Ah,
really kind of cool. But
yeah.
so as the story went that time, I was
Mm-hmm.
taking this really fascinated extended course that was
Mm-hmm.
year long in metaphysical hypnotherapy. So one of the wonderful women in my class said, "Let me pull angel cards for you." So the angel cards went patience, passion, and divine order. And what is better than that? And so I, at the time, was looking for a name for my business.
Ah, I love
So
it.
this exactly is the name of my business because what better name? So as you can tell, I love telling stories, and this is the story of the name of my business and my website. And actually, I am slowly in the process of writing a book about trauma recovery. I talk better than I write. I am a slow writer, uh, but I'm a storyteller. And so it's all the same: patience, passion, and divine order. But that's how the name was given to me. It's those three
Beautiful.
angel cards.
And I know you're writing a book and your
Yes.
website's under construction, but the same titles. Amazing, amazing. And you're physically located in Bridgewater, which is south of
Yes.
Massachusetts,
And
right?
I do sometimes teach workshops
Mm-hmm.
in Bridgewater. Bridgewater is on the South Shore, so we are many, many, many towns that are close together. So Bridgewater is also East Bridgewater and West Bridgewater because the founding fathers couldn't decide on religious denominations. So they made different towns because of that. But a lot of small towns are very close to us. That is where I physically am.
Wow.
However, all the small towns around us are maybe 10 minutes away. We have two traffic lights in the whole town. That's where I physically am. If someone wants to see me in person, this is where I am. But I also see people online, exactly as we talk now.
Wow.
Um, yes, and people can contact me online. They can contact me on WhatsApp if I'm not in the country. It's exactly the same number that you can text me here in the US.
Hmm.
Um, they can also find me on WhatsApp, even if I happen to be teaching in India.
Got it.
Um, which is it good if I say it now?
Absolutely. I want to hear all about you. We're going to get to all of that. And just to let people know, obviously, how compassionate you are and, why you're here. So again, if you are just tuning in, just want to point out that we are talking here to our friend who really has a lot of knowledge and she's willing to, work with you anywhere, which I love. And just to let people know, again, you are a real psychotherapist. You take almost
Yes.
any insurance in Massachusetts. You can work like we're doing today. And we're going to find out a little bit about your background and how you got here and how it brought you into this. Please. Thank you so much.
So the number is very simple, 508 631 7649. You can text me. You can look me up on WhatsApp. Um, you usually, if you call me, I will be busy. So it's better to use another way, but I will not be upset if you call me.
Okay.
It's just that you may not be able to get me. And even if you looked me up on social media, I am relatively friendly and I will talk to you.
Wow.
Because my bottom line is you deserve to be better. You deserve to be happy. People don't say that often, but you deserve to live the best life you were meant to live in this.
Hmm.
I know it sounds tacky, but it's actually the absolute truth.
Ah, well,
Isn't that
as
right? I think you also have pretty uplifting beliefs.
I do, I do. I
So
think
we
so
we
too.
dive on that.
Thank you, thank you. But I want to hear more about you. I want to hear about your childhood and what you did and how dancer, model. I mean, everything.
So should I start in the beginning? Is that good?
Sure, I think so.
So I actually was a small child in Israel. My dad left when I was two. He went to the US. He was originally from Europe. We kind of know what happened with Jewish people in Europe. So my dad grew up in a pear orchard with a giant of a grandfather who taught him everything about fishing and raising pear trees. He always jokes about um, the place where he grew up. When he went back to look at it, they Hungarian government put two whole villages where their orchards later. I mean, they took the whole place, and so my dad was ended up in a concentration camp by the time he was 12 with no family. But
Wow.
eventually, he got to Israel, met my mom. When I was two, he went to the U.S. To get his master's degree and doctorate and never came back.
Oh
So
my gosh. Wow.
I
Wow.
was a small child. I had my family on the other side have always lived in Israel since Jews were thrown out of Spain by the Inquisition.
Wow.
And so they have lived in Israel for generations and generations. And so I was a little kid, and I had my grandmother. We were like that. And I also, incidentally, I look exactly like my grandmother,
Ah,
which is also very interesting.
wow.
But by the time I was 4 years old, my uncle, my grandmother's eldest child, who was this was just around the time Israel at the time was a third world country. Um, it was just beginning to be a state. And so, I mean, just to get a little technical,
Sure.
we had no shower.
Mm-hmm.
We had no fridge. We had, this didn't bother me particularly because I didn't know no difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was, there was a milkman. There were, we grew some things ourselves. We didn't have enough to eat because we were poor, and my
Ah,
mom was getting a woman's salary because there was no divorce. So a woman's salary was the second salary, even though we didn't have a man in the house. So it was all these humorous things that we don't think about. But I was very close to my grandmother. But at the time, my uncle, who was my mom was the second, my uncle was the first, and he was this was the state was pretty new. My uncle was a war hero, um, and he was killed by a terrorist act by and this gets really dramatic. This is I mean, talk about my fascination with women, with people's stories. Um, this man, cab driver, was doing this heroic thing. He came out of Gaza, which is now also in the news, and he was going to kill this war hero who was building the desert. And because my uncle was so known, and he drove right into him in the desert. So my uncle was killed on the spot. And my grandmother died of grief because her elder son was dead. But before she went to the hospital to die, she had me at 4 years old brought to her. And she told me, she said, people will tell you you are not good. That is not true. She said, people will tell you you are not smart. That is also not true. And I was 4, and everything that my grandmother told me held on, even though I was 4. And I just knew I was good, I was smart. And to my little self, I was completely invincible. So as basically our family fell apart because it was like one of those, I mean, I see a lot of those families in my work, those gigantic Latin families where everybody just comes and there's a huge cooking pot on the stove that is always steaming and all the grandchildren come. And that's what our family was like. But by the time my grandmother was gone, that was gone. And there were a lot of children, there were a lot of grandchildren, but they never got to meet my grandmother. But I did. And so I was a small pillar of strength. And even though Israel had wars, every time a war came, the tanks just ransacked the road, so we wouldn't have a road for a month. I was really unfazed. And it was a crazy nation. Um, my mom got sick. They sent me to my dad that I didn't know because they didn't think she would live. I was I didn't speak English at the time, so I landed not knowing the language. All of a sudden, I'm seeing vehicles. I'm seeing a shower for the first time. I was showering out of a bucket. I'm seeing a bathtub and a washing machine I had to learn how to use. The first time
Wow.
I came here on my own on an airplane, they lost me in the airport in New York. I was seeing people of color for the first time, and I just had to roll with it. But because I was small, I knew no different.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, it was very helpful that I knew no different.
True. True.
And I was going back and forth between two school systems. So what I missed, they just skipped me over.
Wow.
And they just expected me to know things. So I kind of rolled with it. So I somehow skipped 2 grades. So I graduated from high school, I was 15. Um, in Israel, we were still very poor uh, because my mother still had no phone. So I was still very focused on my grandmother. So who went to art school in Jerusalem in the very, very early century. So I went to see the artworks she duplicated. I would land in Paris and go look at works that I saw in the books of my grandmother. Like, who does this when they're 14? Just go into Paris to look at artwork. Um, so I did strange stuff, but I thought I could, and no one told me I couldn't. Um, so I was an odd child and I needed money, so I became a dancer. I was modeling. I bought my mom her first TV. Um, I was out of high school when I was 15. I was not faced by suicide bombings because I didn't know that there was anything wrong with it. And I needed money. I wanted to go to school because when I was in the US, that was the main objective of people. I knew no one would pay for my education. So I knew I needed scholarships, so I got them. I went to art school because missing so much school, I couldn't do a lot of other things. And I was also a good artist. Somehow I did a lot of art classes in Europe because I got accustomed stopping over on the way. But because I was a dancer, I ended up working in a club in Tokyo. I ended up in some of the nightclubs in Bangkok, in the Philippines. I was in the Philippines in a couple of their revolutions because I was stopping over doing just visiting friends that I met in Tokyo. And I became really furious about the injustice of human trafficking because I was seeing girls being sold and I just thought this was so bad. Um, and I was beginning because I was charming. I had to. And so it just seemed so bad to me that people would sell their kids. So I didn't think it was a part of a greater system. I just thought that personally I could save people, I could do something about this. Um, then I was about 20, going on 21, and for the first time, it started to occur to me what would happen if I got old. And I could not do jobs like this. Thankfully,
Yeah.
I said, oh no, what I would need a profession. Before that, I thought I was going to be a mama son until I was 30 and retire in the Philippines. Thankfully, I was
Uh,
only 21 and I already had an art school degree by then. thankfully.
Wow. Yeah, right? Oh my goodness.
So I went very, very, very quickly and said, I can only be a psychologist because I have
Wow.
no
Mm-hmm.
ability, I'm thinking, other than I'm good with people.
Of course. Amazing.
Yes. And so I got a scholarship. I ended up in Massachusetts, which
Mm-hmm.
was so fortunate because what was in Massachusetts, but the trauma clinic.
Ah,
Yes, the Trauma Clinic of Massachusetts, which is so wonderful, headed by Bessel van der Kolk, who was, that was the beginning of time of actually speaking to veterans. And the beginning of time actually saying people in the inner cities,
mm-hmm.
in other places in real life, have homegrown trauma that was actually the reason people got more traumatized than others
Really?
in war zones.
Oh,
And
wow.
people reacted to war zone trauma more if they came into war zone trauma already traumatized, because second trauma and complex trauma had more of a reaction if it landed on top of previous trauma. And in the mountains of Thailand and Laos and Cambodia, I met veterans who were refusing to tell me who they were
Wow.
because they were afraid that people will send the military to shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went there just because I was helping smugglers and and I wanted to learn how to ride elephants.
Wow.
When I was 20. So for me, I had a real experience
Mm-hmm.
when I went into the trauma clinic, which the psychiatrists who worked there thought it was so cute. There I am, a 22-year-old, coming to their lectures and saying, but I met people. They
Yeah.
thought this was really funny.
Wow.
Um, so I learned probably more than other people who came just from school. So
Oh
I
my
had
goodness.
opportunities other people didn't have, but I went into the trauma clinic on the ground floor. So while people had very good education coming in, I had life experience, and
Yeah.
I was willing to go into the inner city. I was willing to go into lockup facilities because those were my people. I had more in common with them. So I was not afraid. Someone could come to me with a knife, and I was like, put this thing away, because to me, this was no big deal.
Yeah.
So it was easier for me to do the work than a lot of regular middle class kids.
Yep. Wow. Oh my God, what
And
a story.
yes, well, I mean, I'm not vain. I may sound vain. I'm not.
Not at all. Not at all. There's so much to you and an amazing story, and you're just so kind, so blessed, and you love doing what you're doing. And it's hard to find people like that. You love people, you love their
I
stories, you
do
love their
love
history.
people.
You're just like,
I love people. I always say, once I meet people, I love them. I love
uh,
them.
wow. Well, also, we still have a few minutes left in the show. What else did you want to share for today? It looks like we only have 3 minutes left. My goodness, it goes so fast.
Oh my goodness. But we're meeting again. This is not our last time together.
Good. Yay. We have so much more to talk about.
This is so true. We are meeting again. I really want to say to everyone, whatever they are struggling with, you deserve better. You
Yeah.
deserve, and even if it's just, and you have choices. People that are forced into recovery, people that are forced into any kind of treatment,
Mm-hmm.
will not recover. Even if what you choose is to go to work today because you know it serves a purpose, it will be okay.
Mm.
Even if you choose to stay in a relationship and make it better, it will be okay. When you choose it, it will work and it will become better. You can heal any situation for yourself by choosing it, by knowing why it is that you're doing this. You can choose your present body and heal
Yeah.
it. It's always a matter of choice.
Ooh.
You
Well,
can choose to step into your feet,
mm-hmm.
ground yourself, and
Okay.
making this better.
Wow.
So taking a deep breath and just, centering into the present
Which
is
is what we
just
don't do often. Nope, 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 nope.
precisely.
Yep. Ah, my goodness.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. It's a pleasure getting to know you so far, my goodness. And there's still so much more that we're going to find out about you. Before we continue, let me just ask hold on. One thing I wanted to point out you say, just dare to choose. And really, if you don't love it, then why are we here putting time and effort into it? You said this is your passion, sweetheart, not mine. Let it shine and be specific and luminous then, right? Because this is your life, your party, and you're the one out there helping people get behind, right? And helping them to figure this out. So you say, let us ground and be first. Blessed be. Thank you. That's one of the quotes that you added to your notes for today. And I just want to thank you for being here.
This was wonderful. Thank you so much.
You are. You're beautiful and you're just so kind. Dr. Hadass Harrell, how do we reach you?
508
Mm-hmm.
631 7649.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it and looking forward to speaking with you. And we'll talk more next time about the book, about everything that you're doing. All right. Have a great day, sweetheart. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. And I
You too.
really enjoyed the space you give. And I'm seeing you tomorrow, actually.
Oh my gosh. Wonderful. I'll see you back then. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Less than
Thank
24
you. Thank
hours.
you.
Stay
Thank
tuned. She'll
you.
be back.
Thank you.
Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.